Notice how there's no female loneliness epidemic? We're like going back to school and becoming the most educated we've ever been in all of history. We're advancing in our careers and climbing the corporate ladder and becoming the breadwinner in a lot of our families.
Turning 40 this year and everything is just hitting me right now. It's like not where I wanted to be. I haven't succeeded at anything. I haven't, God, have I even tried? Like, I don't even know anymore. I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to cope with anything.
We're traveling with our friends and taking Pilates classes and learning how to cook or sew or paint.
I'm telling you, that singleness only hits you at night. When you ripping and running throughout the day, when you at work, when you know, whatever extracurricular activities, when you doing hobbies, when you at the gym, you don't even care about being single. That's not even on your mind. But when you pull up to the house at night and you get in that bed alone, that's when you be like, I really wish.
We are developing ourselves and strengthening our bonds with other women.
Still on my mind, and we build it up.
The burden of change or the burden of proof in this intergender war is often placed on men, right?
Mm.
And the evidence in part is a lot of men are lonely. They're suffering from a loneliness epidemic. Y'all
I think we've seen that it just makes sense that if one gender is lonely, the other that was supposed to be paired with them will suffer the same sort of fate. Like in a beautiful sort of sense, we're in this together, right? That's really what it comes down to. This is a thing that we both have to find some sort of solution to, rather than highlighting one gender is more lonely than the other. I think there are important things, important distinctions. It doesn't really matter that men tend to be lonelier, or the results of that, or it just they're less of the social creatures, or that women experience loneliness, in varying sort of rates. At the end of the day, we're both the same. We're both pining for that love and affection of the other gender. And again, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss new uploads. Still trying to do 2 a day. I think we can make it through October. Well, at this rate. But again, when this has become a popular sort of topic because it was sort of pushed forward on the backs of men, of saying there's a male loneliness epidemic, and for these reasons, X, Y, and Z, these men are going to end up, alone, dead and alone. And like we've said before, like others have said, men have frequently had to come to terms with those things. It's not a new thing for men. What we're seeing is it's a new, or maybe it just hasn't been something that was actively considered by women, that you very well can end up alone. I know we have two very different messaging systems when we're growing up, or we're indoctrinated differently. We're both indoctrinated, but we're indoctrinated sort of differently. And one of the things that I believe, and I'm saying I believe because I can't speak for women and what they've been told and reinforced time and time again. But one of the things that, from a male perspective, what we've seen is sort of like male attention is ubiquitous and it's everywhere, and it will constantly be everywhere. When you are ready, you can simply pick your man. You can simply pick your man. There's going to be a plethora of them available at any time, whenever you're ready. So live your life. Do all the things you want to do. Get all of that out. It was, how many years ago? Over a decade ago, that, having that whole phase was popularized. And it spread like wildfire, like City Girls, all that came out with the idea that you can do what you want. And then when you're good and ready, you can get you a man, because they're everywhere. That attention isn't going anywhere. It's an inexhaustible resource. I think as women aged from 20s to 30s, or the mid 30s, and began to see that for the first time, not all attention is equal. Not all attention is the same. Not all attention is created the same. The attention that has always been there is from the men you've never really desired. Yes, you can still that axiom, that truth that they pounded into you earlier and said, yeah, whenever you're ready, you just grab a man. Turns out you don't want that man, that type of quality of man. You want something different, something that's yours, something that you feel like you deserve, something that is worthy of who you are and your accolades and your achievements. That is the thing that becomes scarce. That is the thing that becomes harder and harder to sort of obtain. And that's where the divide comes in there. When you were told you can get a man, they didn't tell you the quality of the man. So say that to say this, that at that point, the idea that you might not get the guy you want starts to become a very real thing. And it's harder to sort of confront that the later, it's harder to confront a lie the longer you've lived it and accepted it. At that point, the idea of being lonely starts to set in, especially when your cohort, your friends and family, your coworkers are living that same dream, right? The actual dream. They're married, especially when you cross racial lines and you see, well, this race is doing it. This race has done it like this or like that. Then it becomes like now it's something that you start butting your head up against, and you're trying to find and work out some sort of solution, still in line with the thing they told you. That's why when people come here and say there's just a male loneliness epidemic, it's a problem with men. What happened to our boys? It's always put on the backs of men because we're used to that. We're used to them being the burden of conveyance of this sort of messaging. That if we want something fixed relationally, it's going to come from the men. We don't put any type of real onus and effort and say, hey, this is going to be a collaborative effort. You're lonely. You have the very real chance of being lonely, ending up alone, dying alone. Let's put that on one side and say that's the consequence of it. And this is a consequence both sides are going to have to come to terms with. But even the day to day, like one of the women said in the video, it hits you when you slow down. It hits you at night. It hits you when you want to be held at night. And this is absolutely genderless. Men, stop playing. You want to be held too. You want to hold someone, right? And then when there's no one there, it's very easy to pick up your phone and distract yourself with the stuff. That's what your phone is great for. You can inundate your brain with all types of things just to keep that loneliness at bay. But that's what you're doing. That's what we're doing. It's not something to put on women. It's not something simply put on men. It's something we're both experiencing. And coincidentally, romantically, thankfully, the solution is within both of us, right? Hopefully, if we're going to take a more optimistic view, this is something we can sort of crush and work out together. Yes, I'm being simplistic and thinking that it's something that would easily happen when we both understand it's going to take both of us of let going of expectations and delusions and looking and saying that I think we're better together than we are apart. Uh, More depressingly, we're probably going to have to pass on the message to the generation coming up, not the generation following ours, that yeah, this society, this world is not meant for you to do solo. Not well, right? On average, not well. Most of us are going to need to pair up with someone. If just for financial reasons, you're going to have to find someone that you can tolerate. Um, but more realistically, if we let go of our sort of the notions that my generation has sort of held and passed on, and the next generation has taken that and said, we're going to run with that even further and make even more unnuanced sort of changes or make all of these other demands, we have to accept that maybe some of us are going to have to be those examples that die alone. It's sad. It's not what I want for anyone watching this or anyone on the page or anyone that I know. But if we're looking at it in mass, unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen. I'm lonely and you're lonely. And if we can't get past each other to stop being lonely together, we're just going to keep repeating it. That's not what I want. And I'll cross my fingers that we're the eternal optimists, and some of you on this page are that. I know I could probably name a few of you that are like, nope, F all that noise, right? But remember, my mom watches this channel, right? I'll see you guys in the next one.